The White House press corps are fed up with Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. She's stonewalling reporters on the Biden classified document scandal. We've seen it. Giving them false information. We've fact-checked. We've seen the press secretary dodge, deflect, pass the buck over and over. Here's a taste.
Do you think it was proper for President Biden to comment on an ongoing DOJ investigation?
I'm going to refer you to Department of Justice.
I'm simply asking you to comment on the person that you work for.
I just commented. We're moving on. Go ahead. I already answered your question. Go ahead.
You really didn't.
Well, I did.
So did you not know on Friday that those documents had been found when you were at the podium, or are you being directed by someone to not be forthcoming on this issue?
I have been forthcoming from this podium.
So we knew what was in it, but you also knew. Did you not know that the
I'm telling you,
documents had
I
been
just
found?
answered the question.
Is it the policy of the White House that they should share that information, not just with the National Archives, but with the Americans?
So we have been transparent in the last couple of days.
Was there a search of the residence?
Again, I'm just not going to go into the particulars. I want to be prudent here. I want to make sure that we do this in the appropriate way.
We're going to ask them because that's our job.
I understand, and my job is to answer your questions. So here we go. Let's go.
It is her job to answer questions. She's not doing it. Members of the press say, quote, she is arguably the least effective White House press secretary of the television era. And, quote, you just get the feeling whatever is in front of her in that binder is all she is going to say. It's just a painful waste of time. The White House responding? A lot of this sounds more like theater criticism than concern about ability to report facts for the American people's benefit. Ari Fleischer, Fox News contributor, former White House press secretary. First of all, great to see you in 2023. Happiest of times for you and your family. What's your take on KJP?
Thank you. Well, one, I want to be a little ginger here. Press secretaries don't, it's a hard job, and I don't want to criticize anybody who has that job. But I will say this. One, I think the knock is not that she's reading from a binder. It seems to be that whatever is written in that binder may be the extent of what she knows.
Ooh.
As opposed to being in the meetings, being able to reflect deeper and more richly about what happened. It's appropriate for press secretaries to buck questions to the Department of Justice, but then you can also explain why. What I would have done in this situation was said, if you think I'm going to make myself a witness for the special counsel, I'm not going to do that. I'm hamstrung. I cannot go around as I normally would, asking questions to the counsel, asking questions to the president. What happened? Where were the documents found? What documents? If I do that, I'm a witness now in a potential criminal proceeding. I won't do that as press secretary. She has to explain it. She's not explaining. She's just regurgitating the same talking points.
I would say that you are ginger but firm. Because you even gave her what to say. Unfortunately, she didn't.
I'm trying to be respectful.
Well, you are always that. But it was firm. So she had tried to do what you said. She didn't do it the way that you said it. Unfortunately, she didn't have your eloquence and words. And what happened was the DOJ put out its own statement and said, no, we didn't actually tell you that you couldn't talk about this and ask questions, and you're free to do whatever you want. I mean, this becomes contentious now because they're not handling their business, or as I like to say, handle your scandal in the White House. They're not doing it. And so it takes on more oxygen. And by the way, the reporters are doing something that actually we are supposed to do. We get circular in a room when we know we're being lied to, because we're all on one team at that point. It's not about some wanting to get a few Twitter clicks. We're on one team because we're the ones mentioned in the Constitution, and we do have a job to get done. And if we think that the truth isn't being told, we should be circular in our questioning. I'm sure other press secretaries have seen it.
The problem here is when she said the search is complete, and it wasn't complete. They found more documents in more places, not once, but
2 days
twice
later,
after she said the search was complete. That's what ticked off the White House press corps. Now, if that happened to me, I would say to the press corps, and I'd probably do it off camera, I apologize. I was given bad information. That's why I said it. And I'm going to be more careful when I get information from that person before I just pass it on to you. But that's what took place. This is what you have to do when you're a press secretary and you're given information that turns out to be wrong. And I don't get the sense that she or anybody else at the White House is doing that. They're not explaining their fumbles. White Houses fumble, press secretaries fumble, but you owe the press corps and therefore the public an explanation when it happens.
Ari Fleischer showing us what experience looks like. Okay. The FEMA director, because that really would have put some of it to bed. The FEMA director is defending the president's flying cross-country amid the left's climate change push. Yesterday, President Biden visited California for several hours. The 6-hour flight on Air Force One burned through 53,000 gallons of fuel. Watch.
Is it a good look, though, to travel all the way across the US in a jumbo jet that uses a huge amount of fuel? Is it a useful use of carbon, and what sort of message does it send to the American people when climate change is such a factor in these events?
I would say is there's just been so much trauma to this community, and it's really important that we keep that in mind, right? I think it's incredibly important that they know that the president is here to support them and that the full force of the federal family is going to be behind them.
Climate change also a focus in Davos as well. And the key word there is hypocrisy. Global elites traveling to the World Economic Forum on private jets, including the climate czar under President Biden, John Kerry, and climate activist former Vice President Al Gore, both facing a lot of mockery for comments at the conference. We'll watch.
It's so almost extraterrestrial to think about, quote, saving the planet. Most people, they think you're just a crazy tree-hugging, lefty, liberal.
All these promises of the last few years to cut emissions are still going up. The accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs. That's what's boiling the oceans and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century. We would lose our capacity for self-governance. We have to act.
Ari, everybody gets that the president is going to California because of all of the flooding. That was not the issue. It is that there have been other places in the country where we've seen disasters. 53,000 gallons of fuel right now is an issue. Can he go any other way?
Well, look, presidents should fly across the country. Presidents should meet with those people in communities where people have been hurt, and especially in natural disasters. All his predecessors have done it. What's different this time is the rank hypocrisy, the timing. This could not have been worse timing for the Biden people who love going to Davos and berating everybody else to engage in the same behavior that they berate everybody else for. The lesson is travel to natural disasters, but stop berating everybody else. Stop making it as if you fly in an airplane, if you use oil, if you use gas, you're a terrible person. That's the hypocrisy, and they got hoisted on their own petard, and I'm glad to see it.
So that's interesting. So, you know, maybe the other option isn't, I mean, obviously the president's going to be on Air Force One, but maybe you don't go over there en masse on the taxpayer dime.
Well, no, the distinction is you don't go to Davos and trash everybody else. Their whole solution to global warming is to say humans have to stop doing what they're doing. No, the solution is humans need to do more of what we're doing, which is being innovative, successful. Someone is going to make $1 trillion one day when they discover and make the energy breakthrough that changes how fossil fuels interact with the climate. That comes from capitalism. That comes from success, innovation, experimentation, the things capitalists are good at. That's what we should be doing as a country.
Ari Fleischer, always great to have you in focus. Thank you.
Thank you, Harris.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.